Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. It has been quite a while since I've been on here, both between the fact that we've taken our summer holidays and we were doing all of those premieres over the summer rather than lives means that hopefully I'm not too out of practice and I remember how all of this works. We're just back at the start of this week from our holidays, which was really nice. One of the best things I think about going on holidays, particularly when you're living somewhere cold like Ireland, is that when you go somewhere very warm for a few weeks, Ireland suddenly feels quite pleasant. Coming into a cooler temperatures, you get up in the morning, it's like, oh, that's kind of nice. So that's one of the biggest reasons to go away somewhere very warm for a bit, is that cooler climates suddenly feel much more appealing. I'm looking at the messages in there. Hey, everyone. We've got Marjorie from North Carolina. Liz is in there. Monica, Kathy, Michelle, and Kirsty. Lovely to see you all. I hope you're all having a good summer and you're all ready to get started with your autumn knitting. I know I am. When I came back, I couldn't wait to get into knitting and autumn and just generally kind of getting started on the knitting season, I suppose you could say. Mainly because when I was away, it was so hot every time I attempted to start knitting, it would stick to my fingers because we were pretty much outdoors the whole time. So I got so much less knitting done than I expected. I'd have to like dip in the pool, cool down, come out, attempt to knit, and then it was really hot. Let's put it that way. Kirsty, what summer? Well, at least you got some knitting done, right? Carl Fallon, you're here and you're looking forward to this. I am too. I love coming back to having the autumn knit along ready to launch. And this, if you've read the blog post, you know that this whole the Saoirse sweater really came about from last year's knit along, the Galanta, because I hadn't done a vest before. And I had a few people say, oh, why don't you do a vest as well? I'm like, well, I've never done one before. I never considered wearing one. And then the discovery when we knit the vest that it is an incredibly useful piece of wardrobe. So by actually having the sweater and the vest version, it means you actually get to do both or pick one or the other, depending on what one fits best into your wardrobe. Now, I've also wanted to share with you what Saoirse means. Anyone who's in Ireland will know Saoirse is a really common girl's name here, but it does have a meaning, and the meaning for it is freedom in Irish. So it's actually quite fitting because this knit along is all about modifications and options and showing different things that you can do with it. So it's all about giving you the freedom to make this sweater your own. So I am going to talk a little bit today about all of the different modifications. If you do have some specific questions coming up, pop them in. I'll talk a little bit about knit-alongs and how we run knit-alongs because everyone does them slightly differently. So I'll just kind of talk through for anyone who's new about that. And I will go through all the different yarn kits. Now, in terms of when it's launching, if you haven't gotten the newsletter, well, first of all, jump into our newsletter. But if you haven't got the newsletter or you haven't read it yet, then it is launching at 8 o'clock Irish time tonight. So there's a 5-hour difference from the East Coast. So it's about 8 o'clock I think it's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. So it means that the pattern and the yarn kits will all be going on sale. As usual, the yarn kits come separately and the pattern comes separately. You do not have to buy the yarn kits to join the knit along. You just need to buy the pattern. That will enroll you in the video workshops where you'll get each of the sections of the video at the same time as the clue comes in. And it'll also enroll you in the actual forum, the private forum where you can actually chat with other knitters about the knit along. The yarn, you can jump into the yarn kits, get yourself a yarn kit from the options that I'll be showing you in a minute, or you can work from Stash or from a local yarn shop. The two of them are separate so that one is not dependent on the other. Or if you want to do both the vest and the sweater, you're not buying the pattern twice. So each of them is put in individually that way. Kirsty, you don't know how you can wait patiently until the 25th of September to start. Don't worry, that's the other thing I should say. The 25th of September is when the first clue comes out. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is, in order to get yarn out to everyone, we want to make sure there's a nice long stretch so that you're able to get it. But we won't be just sitting around waiting for it to start, because that period of time is also when you'll do your gauge swatches, when you'll pick your size. And when there's enough time, it allows you to actually make sure you measure yourself properly, check against sweaters that you have that you like the fit for, to figure out how much ease you want, and maybe even start making decisions about what kind of shaping and things like that you want to do. So it gives you a bit more time to think it through rather than just jumping straight in. So we will be doing plenty in the run up to it, so that you'll be in a really good position when you get started with it. Your problem is sizing. You're really bad on it. Okay, yeah, we will be talking through sizing. So with sizing with the sweater, you will, when you get my patterns, you'll see two different things. You'll have at the top, you'll have to fit bust size up to, and that would be the suggested finished size. So if you measure yourself, if you measure bust size and it is 40 inches, then you'll look for ones that will be up to 40 inches, or maybe it might be perhaps up to 42 inches, and then that's the size that you're looking for. Then if you drop down underneath, it'll tell you the finished bust sizes, and that will be the size when you measure it. So the fit bust sizes include ease. So I'm kind of go backtrack again. If you measure yourself and you were that 40-inch size, and you wanted a sweater with 4 inches of positive ease, you would take that 40, add 4 inches, and you'd be trying to find the size in the finished sizes that's going to give you that bust size. Now, obviously, that is bust size, but you may want to make other modifications. Sometimes people, if your arms are a bit bigger, you might want to adjust the amount of size that you have there. You may also, perhaps, if the rest of your body is smaller, but your bust is larger, you may end up perhaps putting more increases in the front and less on the back, so that there's more, even though you might have the same bust size, that you can have more of it where you need it rather than all the way around. It's top down, so you get to adjust the length of the body, the length of the sleeves. And so we will kind of talk through different ways of doing it. And there's very often, if you don't know how much ease you like, my suggestion is measuring your bust size, the size of that, and ideally getting somebody to help you, and then possibly getting a sweater that you like the size of and measuring the how wide that is at the bust. So that will give you an idea of what kind of ease you think works well for you and you feel comfortable wearing, because it's definitely, that's why we have ranges of ease. So I've got between 2 and 4 inches, or between 5 and 10 centimeters ease, because everyone likes to wear their sweater differently. In the photographs and these two sizes, I've actually put it with quite a bit of ease on the upper end. So I'll stand back here. I'm wearing this one with about 4 inches of ease. So you can see it's a little looser at the top. I could easily, if I wanted a tighter fitting sweater, drop down to the size below, and it's going to be a little snugger fitting, and it will still work. So that is personal choice and how you want your garment to fit. And somebody wants to know how many versions Liz is going to knit. I want to know that as well. Will I talk about short row shaping for the tummy area and the bottom from the waistbands, as well as bust short row shaping? The sweater I am wearing is Saoirse. These are both the same thing. So it's going to be very interesting. This one, I would be fairly slow to add short row shaping into this. And the reason for that is because you've got these horizontal lines. If you're going to add short rows across the bust here, you're going to disturb the actual the pattern here. If you did want to add short rows to it, the places I would do it would be across the front or across the back. I won't be specifically going into short row shaping with this, because there's a lot of other modifications and that is quite specific. If you were looking for that, I would suggest kind of taking a look at the short row masterclass that's going to go into a bit more detail, because there would be a bit more measurement and things like that. But I wouldn't be doing the bust shaping with it, but the garter stitch would be an excellent way of doing that. If you do want to do it yourself and you know how to do German short rows, then my usual suggestion is to take knitting graph paper, draw out how much length you want, and then just put an approximation of where you'd put the steps in. So that would be for short rows kind of what I suggest with that, but do bear in mind the actual stitch pattern here. So now let me talk a small bit about the sweater so you can learn about them. They are both the same. And one of the first modifications that you'll notice is they're really, really different yarns. So in our yarn choices, we're going to be having 3 different types of yarn. We'll have Cumulus, which is what's knit here. Cumulus is actually a heavy lace weight yarn, brushed alpaca and Surrey silk. But because it's a little heavier than a lot of brushed ones, really, really soft because of the alpaca, but it knits really loosely. So you can actually, this is knit to the same gauge as this with a single ply of this, and it creates a very, very lightweight but more open fabric. So it is more likely to kind of stretch a little bit, but it's warm and it's soft and it's very light. So it's a pretty special sweater it would make. So you can use that for either the vest or the sweater version, but it's going to be very lightweight and more open fabric. The one I'm wearing here is our Nua worsted. So these are Nua worsted, and that is merino, yak, and linen blend. It's non-superwash, and it is a worsted spun. So it's fairly dense. It creates a really nice stitch definition and a little bit more of a weighty fabric. So it's got a bit of weight to it, is the best way to put it. If you would like something that's a little bit thicker, similar to the worsted, but you don't want it quite as heavy, then we're also going to put in some Blosta, our Stone Stitches Blosta yarn. This is a woolen spun yarn. It's also a DK weight or a heavy DK weight. So really it's kind of in the worsted category. But because it's woolen spun, there's a lot of air in it. And when you knit with it, it's gives a very light fabric and very warm. So all of these are going to work really well, but create really, really different versions. You can interchange the yarns between the sweater one and the vest, or maybe make versions of both. It depends on what kind of weight, what kind of fabric, and how you want to work with it. And I will go through a little bit more detail in a minute, some of the different colors we're looking at. We can't put all of the yarn colors of each of these in because the options would just be way too huge. So if there's a color that you've got your heart set on that we don't have in one of the kits that you're seeing in either the Cumulus, Blosta, or Nua worsted pages, just send us on a message and we can put something together for you. But that's why they're not all there, simply because we can't fit them all in. I've got somebody saying, can I say a bit about the waist shaping? You can't see it, but you think the sweater has more shaping. You're completely right on that, Lucinda, and I'll get there. I'm going to work my way down through it. So the top-down sweaters with raglan shoulder shaping, but they are modified raglans. So what that means, it sounds very complicated, but what it means is normally with raglan, you've got increases on each side, and I'm looking at backwards, on each side of the raglan, here and here on the front, the back, and so there's 8 increases every second round. But what that happens with that is for the smaller sizes, you can end up with very large sleeves or very large bust by the time you get the sleeve size you want. And for larger sizes, the sleeves get very big before you get the bust size you want. So when it's modified, what it means is for bigger sizes, you'll start slowing down the sleeve increases as you keep moving on with the body increases so that your sleeves don't get too big. And the opposite happens for the smaller sizes. You will keep going with the sleeve increases, but the body sizes won't increase as much. That's all laid out in the pattern where you've got stitch counts for every single section as you're going through. The top of this, there's no short rows worked. It's just done flat, first of all, with increases worked across the side of the neck. And then you're going to join down here. And you can see you've got, this is a garter stitch panel with slip stitch on each side. And then there is a ripple stitch going down here. So each of the stitches are pretty straightforward to work, but they do combine very nicely. I like all of the texture the two of them create together. For the sweater version, you just keep going, obviously, with the raglan and you separate out. For the vest, you just go down as far as here. So if you wanted this shorter or you wanted it longer, you could do the bind off a bit sooner And then you've got a section here where you're going to be doing it straight and doing the back straight. So that part is going to be different for each of them, but the rest of it is going to be the same down to here and pretty similar down from there. Then the next section, you can see here with the vest, it is work straight down. And then there's just a little bit of decreases before the garter, because garter likes to splay out. So we're just pulling it in a little bit and Icelandic bind off. And it was well spotted, Lucinda. My sweater here, I've got some gentle waist shaping. So I've got a few decreases going down each side here, and then a few increases going down here. So you can see that you can quite easily change that up a little bit for yourself, whereby if your waist is a little higher, you might move those closer together. If it's lower, you might move it down. If you want to make the sweater longer, then you can start spacing the bottom ones out a little and add a little bit of length. Both of those, again, are totally interchangeable. You could do the straight one on the sweater. You can do the shaped one on the vest. You could actually also, I haven't shown it, but you could, of course, easily also do A-line, where the increases I've shown here, you could just after the bust start doing increases and having an A-line. That is not shown in either of these, but you'd have the directions for after my version here. When you start increasing, it's just an increase round, and that's what you can do with A-line. So all of these options are open to you. You can, I've got a few different variations, the Icelandic bind off here, or the I-cord bind off here. They're all interchangeable. You got the crew neck here with the I-cord bind off. You got the cowl neck. Each of those can swap back and forth. So all of these different things can be interchanged. I did an I-cord edging on the armhole opening because I think that it's going to give a bit more structure, particularly for something like cumulus, which wants to spread out. So that I-cord edging is going to really hold it into shape for you. I've got I-cord edging along here, but you can again use the Icelandic bind off. So there's all sorts of fun choices that you get to make as you go through. And that's the nice thing when there's lots of other knitters who are doing it with you, is you can chat about what they're doing, or if somebody tried something and it didn't work very well for them, they can share it, and other people can either give suggestions or it might help them out as they're going. I'm going to have a look here to see if I haven't missed any questions. Monica, you had a question. You're wondering how the pattern would show on the cumulus. Oh, there you go. You've had the answers. Yeah, it actually shows. It shows pretty well. I did a swatch. Let's see if you can see it. A tiny swatch in the cumulus aubergine here, and I actually think it shows up quite nice. It's a bit more subtle, obviously, but that's the garter, and this is the ripple stitch in the aubergine color. And it's a fairly subtle stitch pattern, so I think it works just fine. It'll obviously show a little bit better in lighter colors, but the texture is still going to be there even with the darker colors. Liz, you've got a sweater in cumulus. It's gorgeous to wear. I love cumulus. It's like Laura we were messing before when you put this on, and you pet it like a teddy bear. And so we kind of nearly had Laura sitting here hugging the cumulus sweater during the whole live. We thought that might be a bit much, but it is kind of hard to describe how soft cumulus is. And Camilla, you're asking Liz if it gives a see-through fabric or not. It's partial. Let me put my hand through. It's not see-through, but you do need to be aware of what you wear under it. So for instance, because it's a looser stitch, and it's a light color, you do want to have something darker underneath. So you probably want to match it with the tone. So we put this with a lighter color under. If you wear black under, you're going to kind of see little bits of black coming through. So that will be, it's not as dense as you would have with the other fabrics. But it's very lightweight, and it is like extraordinarily warm for what it is. I actually think that it's warm enough that's the kind of thing you could fold in really tightly if you needed something extra when you're out somewhere, but you didn't want to bring a really big sweater with you. Kind of perfect for those situations. Kirsty, you need to work out how to do an I-cord bind off without pulling everything in too much. Oh, that can I-cord can sometimes happen with that. Two things you can try. First one, picking up more stitches, and the second one that is really helpful is just going up a needle size, because I actually did that with this. I just went up to the larger needle size when I was doing the I-cord bind off, and it does help quite a bit. But yeah, the I-cord tends to want to pull in, but they're the two things you can do that kind of help mitigate it a little bit. Wendy, you can't wait to cast on. I nearly want to knit another one, like, because these are all in the shop here. I would actually love to knit another, particularly the vest version, because I've got, like, maybe even I might perhaps do a Blosta vest version with I think that could be lovely with the crew neck. I kind of wear that all winter long. I think it could be really nice. Laura is in love with the cumulus as well. Do we have a swatch of the Blosta in the pattern? We do not yet, but we promise you in the next couple of weeks, or maybe even by next week, we will, because Magali is going to be knitting a sample in Blosta and joining me for the lives. So I know I've just given her the pattern, so I suspect she'll have the swatch in Blosta very soon. And I will share it with you as soon as we have it so you can see it. When I transfer the stitches back to the left needle, don't pull them. Oh, Liz, I'm reading through more suggestions from Liz on how to make sure your I-cord doesn't pull in too tightly. But yeah, we'll definitely need to go and do a little bit of swatching and Blosta. I'll make sure that it comes in. So now, would you like to see some of the colors that are going to be in the kits? Yes. Yes. I'm going to assume you will, and go ahead. But yeah, let me know what ones you're looking for. So I'm going to start off with the Blosta, which I kind of started over here. So the ones I'm going through first of all are for, we got a big yes from Camilla here. So the first ones we're going to go through are the Blosta colors. So there's 4 Blosta colors. We've got burgundy here, which is just a lovely, lovely, rich, winey shade, matches up with its name. Here is Kirk, which has got, it's a navy blue, but you see there's little touches of kind of purple and pinks flecked through. So it's got a lot of depth going to it. Here we have Spare, which is a light blue color. So it's general enough that you'd be able to wear it with pretty much everything, I think. And Nadur is a perennial favorite. Everyone loves a good basic light color that you're able to wear with pretty much everything. So can't go too wrong with that. So they are the Blosta colors. Now here, I think I was actually thinking, wouldn't they be lovely in stripes? They're the 3 colors we've got for cumulus that will be in the yarn kits. So this one is Slate. Hopefully I'll get these right. We've got Slate. And this, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's like Spagnales, I think is the name of the middle one, and Aubergine. But I think they would be so fun as stripes in a pattern as well. Next year maybe we'll do stripes for a knit along. And we've got a big old bundle of newer worsted. So they look like there's a little yarn bouquet for you all. So I've got what I'm wearing, which is Rolling Bales. And there we have Sea Veggies, which I love this green. That would be just gorgeous, Sea Veggies. Here we have some Late Night Blues, which is, again, navy, dark blue, but again, with flecks of the linen through to give it a nice light, kind of a light tweedy effect. Got Chalk and Plum, which of course was the one that our Galanta vest was knit in last year. So you know that that's going to work very nicely. Harvest Moon is just this lovely orangey terracotta color. Well, not quite terracotta, but in that category. Dare You is our lovely red, deep, deep red. And finally, Hatter's Teal Party, which is the most fun color. It's the best blue in the world. Camilla, they're so beautiful. You should be banned from yarn video. We've just got our little yarn porn going on here. Sea Veggies is a beautiful color. It is, isn't it? I love Sea Veggies. So because the yarn, there's 2 sets of yarn kits. These are the sweater yarn kits I just showed you. But because they take obviously more yarn, they're divided into more sizes. So there's not quite as many kits. The vest has got fewer size brackets, and because it uses less yarn, which means that I've got more colors that I can show you that would be in the kit ones. So we've got, there's no way I'm actually going to be able to remember all of these colors. So I'm just going to pop them up so you can see them all together. Here are some of the other lovely cumulus colors that we have. This is all, the reason I'm going this way when I mean to go this way is because the camera is reversed. So I'll actually just call them out to make sure I get them right. Teal, very fitting. And we have here Celestial, which is a light, kind of almost a baby blue, but kind of a little bit more depth to it than that. This one is our silver. It's silver green. I feel like it should be silver gray. Not really green, but it's a lovely, lovely gray silvery color. Anyone who likes their olives as much as I do, this is the moss color. It's kind of a perfect little olive color that would go with everything, I think. And we've got another autumny color, which is our rust. I'm actually going to pull these up together. Harvest Moon and Rust kind of sit pretty happily together. I think they're in the same general family. Kirsty, since you returned to knitting after 30 years, you discovered the addictive joy of internet shopping. Yes, I'm sorry, but not sorry at the same time, but because we love these colors so much, we just want to share the love with you. Here are a few more Blosta colors. This one is our Farraga color. It had been in a stock for a while, but it's back in now. It's a hard one to show on camera. It's green and it's gray and it's purple and it's blue. It's called Farraga, which means the Irish for sea. And to me, it is actually the color of the sea here in wintertime or in dark, cloudy days. If you think of that color and all of the depth that's in it, that's this color in my mind. This is another lovely green, or Quilta. We have Leah here, which is a light gray. And we have, just for fun, we've got one marlin, which I actually think is a nice marl, because of course it looks striped in this. It isn't striped when you knit it. It's just got this mottled color going. And this is our Kirk spare. So you can see there's one strand of Kirk and one strand of spare, which were the two other colors in there. You love this one. You can't remember the name of the Blosta one. Oh, which one? The Quilta, Camilla, or the Farraga? You can let me know which one. Green, light green or dark green? Oh, the light gray vest might be nice. I think so. I like gray vest. Like part of it, when I'm trying to figure out what color I'm going to wear it with, I will often end up going to my wardrobe and thinking about how I'm going to wear it, what I'll wear it with. So if it was a vest, for instance, I might think about what shirts or long sleeve tops do I have that I think that I'll kind of find a color that goes nicely with it. Do bearing in mind, if you're going with the with cumulus, that you probably want to go like with like. So if it's a light color top, go for a light color. If it's a dark color top, then go for a dark color, because you will get the other color will kind of shine through a little bit as you're wearing it, which is not a problem if they're in the same color family, more or less. I know what you're meaning. It's Farraga. I'll write it for you here. F-A-R-R-A-I-G-E. There you go. The mithril. Oh, yeah. Laura is, Liz is putting up there. The other sweater that I've done with cumulus before was mithril, and it's just an incredibly light fabric. I mean, the two things that you need to be aware of with cumulus when you're knitting with it, it can be the colors going through, and also it's got, because it's so springy, it is more likely to grow. So if you don't want it too long, you might want to, before you finish it, kind of hang the sweater and block it vertically a little bit to check if you need to take a little bit off the length, because it does tend to stretch a little bit vertically. So because both of these are the same length, and I think, I haven't checked it, but I suspect this has possibly grown a little bit vertically, which is fine once you're aware of it, but just that it can get a little bit of extra length. Do have two more vest colors that I haven't shared with you. There is our Drift Lass, another lighter green, and the very final one, our Kitten Fluff, the gray. So those are the last two vest options as well, which I'm kind of sorry we've made it quite difficult for you. There are a lot of options, but hopefully it'll mean that it's a lot more fun picking. And if you've got some of these colors at home, you can kind of put them out and see which ones you think are going to work well. You can also, I mean, if you've got stash that you're working through, you could even possibly think about doing kind of stripes or a, you know, what am I doing? Fade from one to another if you had all of the right weight yarn, but just not on the same color. So it kind of depends how you're going to wear it and which version you're going to work with. You're just reading through the comments there from Liz, just talking about the mithril up there. Does anyone have any other questions? I think I've probably kind of gone through a lot of the different bits that you needed to know. I suppose that, yeah, the big thing is the pattern is available digitally. If you haven't done knit along before, when you join in, it's going to be just an information PDF, which will have all the sizing, the schematic, basic swatching information with stitch patterns. The main stitch pattern you want to match is going to be this, is going to be the ripple stitch pattern. The garter on the side does get kind of, it's a little shorter, but obviously there's so little of it, it tends to quite easily stretch out a little bit. So the ripple stitch pattern is what we're going to look at. 8 o'clock tonight, Irish time, is when everything is going to go live. It will be on our website, it'll be on Ravelry, and the videos will be on Teachable, which you'll be entered into. So if you are new to our knit-alongs, then you can pop into our knit-along page. If you go on our website, stonestitches.com, go under the Learn section and you'll see knit-alongs. And then we'll have all of our general information on knit-alongs on there, which will tell you how they work, where you find all the different parts and how it all goes together. It sounds more complicated than it is, but everything is going to be in the PDF, and that's all going to be up tonight. And I don't think there's any more questions. So it's lovely to see you all again and to kind of be able to come back after the holidays with a big knit along bang. It makes it feel like a great big hurrah to get back into work. So I'll see you all tonight on the website. Bye, everyone.